This is Agent versus Lender.
Let's get ready to rumble! If you're a top real estate agent, broker, lender, or coach, this is your podcast. This is Agent versus Lender. If it's about real estate or the lending industry, it's fair game. This is Agent versus Lender. And now the hosts, Ron Pippin and Taylor Archibald.
Welcome to another episode of Agent versus Lender. And today we have with us Spencer Sullivan. Spencer is actually a good friend of mine. I've known Spencer. Dude, how long have I known you? I've probably known you since you were like 12.
Yeah, it's been probably close to like 14, 15 years.
Yeah,
probably.
It's been a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And Spencer, so what we're going to talk about today is Spencer has made a serious life change in his life. We'll just give him a real quick preview. So, Spencer, what did you weigh when you were at your heaviest?
So when I started last summer, I was weighing in about 330 plus pounds. I'd probably say 332 was what I remember weighing in at. Yeah.
Okay. And so we're going to put some, if you're on YouTube, we're going to put some pictures up so that you can see what the difference is. But he does not weigh that now. And I'm not, if he wants to tell you what he weighs now, that's fine later. But
I can go ahead and tell you.
Tell me.
So I'm weighing about 202 pounds roughly right now.
I would not have guessed that looking at you. Dude, man, I'm telling you that I would not have recognized Spencer knowing him from before and today. I would have thought you were under 200 pounds because, dude, man, you look awesome.
Well, the thing to also consider is that, there's a lot of muscle growth along the way too, which I'll probably go into here in a bit. But
oh, cool.
So yeah, there's definitely been a lot more muscle being added, but
hey, move that. Just move the microphone towards you a little bit.
Does that sound better?
Is just the closer you get on this one, the better it sounds.
All right, we'll just.
There you go.
There it is. There's the money. Yeah. So, about 202 pounds. The body fat percentage is down to about 18, which is awesome. So
yeah, that is.
We're almost there, almost to the next chapter, but
that's awesome. So this is kind of a universal. I know this is not like a real estate topic, but man, I tell you that I know several people that have gone through this kind of a journey that are in real estate, and there's a lot of us that probably would like to go through this journey, just because it's not just your looks, it's like total health. It's like it's totally life changing.
Yeah.
So how's that changed? Tell us before we get into how it all changed. So tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do. I mean, tell us just a little bit about. I'm going to tell you something. So he's if you don't know, I'm a drummer, and I'm a drummer in a band.
Oh yeah.
And Spencer knows that, and Spencer's a fellow drummer, but he's also like a musician. And he writes so his choice of music and my choice of music is far different. It's like his is like what do they call it? What do they call the music you write?
Like metalcore, like heavy metal, I guess you could call it in a nice way.
Yeah, it's like he gets on there and it's like rah, he's screaming. Yeah, it's like.
It's the words you can't understand. You know what I mean? It's that you turned on the radio and it was really loud and it scared the holy daylights out of you and you quickly changed it. That's where it is. So I exist to make that 2 seconds of your life exciting.
But that's fun, man. I love Spencer to death, and I like that we have some differences. But man, we're still like good friends. So it's always good to have that. So tell us a little bit about your life-changing journey.
Oh yeah. So, well, I can't give myself all the credit here, Ron. I have a partner in crime who was right by my side and still is right now while he's at work. But his name is Cody. I'll give him a shout out, Cody Squires. He's my probably one of my best friends that I have, like that I've known since I moved to North Ogden initially. But he's also been doing this. And last summer, after I had this break, so what started all of this really is I was dating this nice lady for about almost 3 years, and mutual breakup, wasn't like anything super horrible or anything like that. But I just kind of took a look in the mirror and I was like, I don't want to be fat and sad. I don't want to.
I think a lot of people could probably relate to that. Totally relate to that.
Oh yeah. So I didn't want to be just, because I was already feeling sad. Like that's inevitable after you get your, you go through a breakup of any kind. But I basically was like, I don't want to be where I'm at now. And I was working from home. I'm sure most of us were at the time, during last summer of 2020 quarantine. And I just started we had a meeting at the end of work for like an hour where we would like kind of go over the day, share best practices and stuff like that. It was more or less kind of like a debrief at the end of your shift. And since it was virtual, I was like, well, I mean, I can just put them on speaker and I could maybe like do some sit-ups or something. I don't know. I could just do something. So I started doing that. And then I was like, this is fun. And then I started intermittent fasting. I started looking into that. And so did my buddy Cody that I previously mentioned. And he was all about it. He had done like keto diet before and he had lost some weight, and then he had done a few other things. And so he was all on board to like look into this. And so that's all we did. Just intermittent fast at first. We didn't change our diet at all. We just didn't eat at a certain time of the day every day and just followed that. So I was still eating like Sonic and like, frozen pizzas and candy and soda. And just, I had this big tub under my bed that I would keep while I was working from home. Think about it, just filled with candy and crackers and granola bars, anything you want, it was just my infamous tub of gluttony. So, and I still ate out of it. But at first it was just kind of recognizing like what I was eating. And then that kind of changed into a calorie counting. And I started being like, okay, how many calories am I eating? I don't really know like much about it, but I want to kind of know like where I am. And there was a stark realization there.
So I'm really curious. So like most people don't just all of a sudden just start thinking, hey, I need to count my calories. Was it Cody? Was it somebody? I know that your dad and your brother also have just lost a tremendous amount of weight. So this is like a family affair kind of thing.
Oh yeah, so, definitely.
So did somebody like coach you along with that, or is that just something you just started doing? Because that's just unusual.
Yeah. So at the time, I didn't have any sort of health mentor or coach or anybody like that. I actually started looking and researching on my own, just looking around and seeing what existed. And I found a YouTuber, I'm not going to lie, named Kiana Doutry. I hope I said her name right. And she was talking about like nutrition science, but it was in a really digestible, very understandable way. And I just kind of saw like why certain foods were bad, like on a scientific level, and like how it actually affected your body. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And it kind of scared me. And I was like, well, I just want to know, like that kind of spiked my interest in like, what am I eating? What's going in, what's going out, whatever. And so, yeah. And then I started thinking like, well, I know people count their calories. I don't know why. Like, I don't know how many like is for me or whatever. But if I know how many I'm eating, then at least I can go from there. And so that's all me and Cody did was intermittent fast. And then we just started counting calories. And then at that point we were like, okay, we're eating 4,000 calories a day or more, So the first change was, how do we limit that? So instead of eating 2 quesadillas at night, we'd eat 1. And instead of having 3 bowls of cereal, I'd have 2. And just little scale progression, just week over week.
That I think that's really important when you're making changes in your life. It's not like you can't just like make this massive shift. You didn't start eating apples and carrots and stuff. You just limited the quantity. You didn't eat anything different.
Nope.
You limited the quantity.
100%.
So and I think there's several things that you've said that are actually really business related, and hopefully I'll remember them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say one of them right here. So making a change in business, when you're making some kind of a shift, it's the same thing that you just did. You don't make these massive changes because you can't keep up on them. It'll never be part of your daily routine. So if you just make these small changes, and there's a book called 212, and I love that book. In fact, I'm going to give you one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And the premise of the book is water is hot at 211 degrees, but at 212 it boils, and it can power a steam locomotive. But at 211 it can't. And so that one little change, that one little degree, makes a massive amount of difference, especially long term. So that one little degree, that little shift. So maybe it doesn't make a big difference today, but a month or 3 months or a year down the road, you're in a completely different place with that one little shift.
Yeah.
So what you did, I think, is really important. Is like you didn't try to go into these massive change that you could not. There's just no way you would continue it because you just can't make that kind of a shift and keep that progress up.
It would be unsustainable.
Right. That's the word I'm looking for. So you just made some little shifts. So I'll let you continue. So that
was good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Thanks, Ron. Basically I was making these small 1 degree changes at a time, just whatever made sense. And the thing was, there was no timeline. There was no, I have to do this right this second. It was, okay, this is interesting, because it started kind of like that. Like, I need to do something right now. Like I have to do something. And instead of just like, doing a crash diet or, just starving myself, I was like, well, just being self-aware. And then, so just kind of moving on. After that, I started seeing a few pounds dropping off the scale after a week or two. I was like, okay, that's really cool. Like, there is progress there. I wasn't even exercising. I was just limiting a little bit and intermittent fasting. I found this app that helped me with it, kind of kept me on track. It was great. And then August came, and I'm not gonna.
So is this August of 2020?
Yes.
So this is just recent.
Oh, this was last summer.
Okay.
This
awesome.
was just super recent.
Okay.
And so August of 2020 rolls in, and not to slander anybody or take this into a negative place, but me and my ex were sharing a living space at the time, and we were making arrangements for her to move out, and it was kosher and fine. There was a few times some dates would roll through, and that just didn't really feel too good. I'm sure most people can relate to that.
Yep.
And
totally.
And I'm not going to lie, that was kind of a really bad moment for me. Just kind of seeing that and being in the house and just kind of having that moment, and it kind of turned into a really dark thing. And I just didn't really know what to do with that negative emotion that I had. I tried writing music, and it was good and it helped, but it didn't alleviate like this internal just fire that was burning up inside of me. And little did I know that was a desire for change. And so in August, me and Cody debated for about 2 weeks. It's really funny. We debated for 2 weeks about what gym we were going to go to, because we thought we should exercise at some point. And there is a gym right across the street from my work at down here in Ogden, and it's shout out EOS Fitness.
Cool.
And they're awesome. And so I was like, hey, there's a gym right next to both of our works. It's right there. It's $10 a month. Let's do it. So he's like, all right. I signed up, and then first day, this is a funny story, Ron. First day I'm in the gym, I just walk in, get on the elliptical, just do a little something, and I'm like, okay, I'm here, I did it, day one, let's go. And then their manager saw me and was like, hey, come here real quick. And I was like, oh man, did I like break the equipment or something? Like boss wants to talk to me. And so I go up to him, and he's like, hey, I've never seen you in here. Did you just sign up? And I was like, yeah, I just signed up just barely. And he's like, cool. And he's like, come talk to me for a minute. And he sits me down, and he's like, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? Like, what's your knowledge with working out? And kind of got a read on me. And he was like, hey man, I know this is going to sound like a sales pitch, but I'm just going to be for real. I have a guy named Mike who is a personal trainer. And with what you want to do, I think you guys will get along pretty good. And I was like, not into it. not into it. You're trying to just, I get this. You saw the big guy at the gym and you're like, let's get this guy a trainer, right? Like, let's do it. And so I just, at first I was really hesitant. I even told him, I was like, hey man, like that's kind of a financial burden I don't want to take on, and a responsibility I don't think I could keep up with. And I just had a lot of doubt in myself. He's like, how about this, man? I'll give you the first month free. And if you don't like it, you can just, it's whatever. I just really think you guys are going to get along. And I was like, okay. So I signed up and I met my trainer, and he was awesome. I still work with him to this day. I actually saw him yesterday morning.
Well, shout out to Mike, man.
Shout out to Mike Daniels. He is the man with the plan, and he came through for me in a very bad time in my life. And I told him that up front. I was like, hey man, I'm not really going through a pretty bad time right now, and I'm just trying to like figure some stuff out. And he's like, well, let's get to work.
You know what this reminds me of is when the student is ready, the master will appear.
I like that.
And that seems like that's where you were at. It's just like you needed somebody in your life to help you get through, because you probably could have done this by yourself. I don't know that you would have had the same kind of results without a trainer, without a mentor. But you were ready for it.
Oh yeah. And if I think that if at any other point in my life, if I would have like been there, I would have flaked, you know what I mean? I would have canceled. Even if I felt that push to go, I would have been like, you know what, this isn't for me. But because I was at probably the lowest point emotionally that I can remember in my adult life, I didn't really have anywhere else to go but up. And I thought to myself, as I was driving home from my first session, he gave me a meal plan. He broke it down, told me like how much a pound of fat is in calories, which is 3,500, by the way. And he kind of broke down like what certain macronutrients were supposed to do, how they were going to help me, why the foods he chose he gave to me, and just really broke it down, because I'm a logic guy. If you can break something down to me in a scientific way, I can pretty much grasp it. That's how I learn. And so when he was like, well, it's just basic math, like 1 + 1 is 2, and I was like, oh, okay, like that, I can see that, I can add it up myself, that makes sense. And I just thought, you know what, if I follow his plan and it doesn't work, then I'm not any worse off than I am now. So why not give it the good old college try?
Right.
And so,
and you did. And
oh yeah. And that was the thing. But the part of that is that there was a moment where it was like, I just signed a contract for 6 months to work with this guy. And I have to pay, a good chunk of change every month to get the service. But I mean, I was like, if I don't make this worth it, then not only am I robbing myself of money, but I'm robbing my future of years of life to live. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I was like, it would be an incredible disservice to myself and to everything that I've been trying to do up to this point. It's only been 2 months up to this point. It was September. I started in July, and that was just the fasting and just the cutting back. And then August was, let's count calories. And then September was, let's get to work kind of thing. So it was the 2-month preparation period before I was ready to go. But the thing is, like, Mike is the man, and I love him to death. And he's turned out to be a pretty cool guy, and I've gotten to know him very well. And I only worked with him once a week though. So every other time was up to me to make sure I was on point and to make sure that, I was eating what I was supposed to do, because he wasn't always there every meal of the day. You know what I mean? It was like, I had to be like, okay, I have to eat certain ways, which at first it was really good. And that's how I learned. And that's kind of changing the micro degrees, is like, I went from making a small little change to a small little change to be ready to tackle a bigger challenge.
Right.
And I feel like that's the part that people try to jump to first with weight loss, is they're like, I have to cut my calories down from, like what I was doing, 4,000 to 5,000 calories of junk food a day down to 1,600 calories a day of nothing but rice and turkey. You know what I mean? Like, and that, like what you were saying earlier, is just unsustainable, because, you're a human being, and human beings are emotional creatures. And the first time a bad day happens and you have a bad day at work, or maybe you're get in a fight with a loved one, like you just want to turn to the Ben and Jerry's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're gonna grab that tub of all the candy and granola bars. Yeah, you're gonna grab that tub, right?
Yep.
Yeah, totally. I think everybody that's listening to this or watching it can totally relate to that.
Oh yeah, and that's another. That now we're going to kind of just transition to the part 2 of this, which I like to call the discipline phase, and that was just living an ethos of myself every day, a guideline that it was basically a code of conduct within myself that it didn't matter. Like I wasn't trying to live off anyone else's world. I was in my mind, and I was doing what I was doing because I had a drive for it. And I actually found 2 things. I've heard of this guy named David Goggins, and I'm sure probably at least a few people out there might know who he is. He's been around for a long time. He's a retired Navy SEAL, ultra marathon runner, cyclist. He's just been defined as the hardest man alive, the toughest man alive. And I thought to myself, what does somebody like that think? Like, how does that mindset work? And luckily for me, the man made a book, like an autobiography, basically. And I got it on Audible, and I listened to it, and I listened to the whole thing in like 2 days. And I mean, it was I'm not a reader. I don't listen to books. I like music. I like movies. I never picked up a book, especially like an autobiography of like a retired athlete. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right.
I never thought that would be something I'd be into, but his words spoke to me. And hearing his story really I saw myself in it a little bit. And I needed somebody to kind of tell me like, stay hard, get to work. Like, and just saying like, yeah, you feel this way, but there's more to give. And so I just started adopting that mindset change. And like, he has a lot of these little rules called like the 40% rule, where it's like, whenever you feel tired, you're only really truly at 40% of your actual effort that you can give. And like, sometimes you just got to dig a little deeper to find that extra 5% to go just a little bit more. So next time you're at 45 and then 50 and then, et cetera. But like,
sure.
Back to the point though, is I just basically had to keep at it every day, every single day. Like there was little times that I would let myself let up, and that was just me. Some people like to never I'm talking like cheat meals and stuff like that. Like some people will like never ever do it and wear it as like a badge of honor, and that's cool. I kind of tried to stay away from it just because, again, I was building the discipline. I was like, I've had 28 years of cheat meals. I can go a couple months, or at least like some weeks, just staying very on point with this meal plan that my trainer, who very generously made for free, which he normally charges clients extra for, hooked me up because, again, he saw something and he saw that I was ready to work. Then I started going to the gym twice a day. And then I started going to the gym at 5:30 in the morning. And then people started being like, why are you doing this? Like, you don't need to go twice a day and you don't need to like go like this. And it was because I needed to prove something to myself that I can do things that are really difficult, because it was all these little baby steps that led up to this, those little micro changes that were like, try this, go just a little bit more. Don't worry about going, like, you don't need to double your time. You don't need to go 200%. You just need to go 101, or just that 1 extra percent today that you didn't do yesterday. Mm-hmm. And that literally, like textbook, literally just added up over time with experience. And I guess trying new things, and then I guess honestly just seeing the progression was really cool, and like I didn't think people would respond the way they did. On social media, people have been super duper duper supportive and very like on point. And I've had people reach out to me and ask me questions about their, what to do and how to do it. And so that's why I'm excited to be here and to talk about this. Yeah.
So, there's a couple things that comes to mind again.
Yeah.
Is that when you started making some changes. So you said you picked up that Audible book, and like you're not a reader. It's not you. You wouldn't have done that 3 or 4 months ago, previously. Mm-mm. Because you hadn't made any of those changes. So when you said you had 2 months of preparation before you even went, you had 3 or 4 months of preparation before you picked up that book, because you weren't ready for that book yet.
That is very smart. Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of people that buy a book and say, hey, I'm gonna read this book, or I'm gonna listen to this thing on Audible, and they don't. And that's because they're just not ready for it. So kudos for you for preparing yourself. And I'm sure there's more to the story here in just a second, but
Yeah.
so congratulations to you for making those changes so that you could, and recognizing that that you've made some changes to better yourself and starting to become, so I can see that you're starting to become a mentor for other people. So I'm going to let you finish your story and then remind me, I want to talk about mentors.
Yes,
So I
of
want to
course.
talk about your mentor and the changes that can make in one's life.
Of course, yeah. So we're at this point, we're in October. Okay, so September was the first month of just a meal plan and working out and doing it. And I just told myself I need to go every day. If I can go to the gym every day and I can just worry about the next meal and make sure that I'm just going to eat that, and having a plan, that meal plan was amazing because I knew what I needed to do. And it was just up to me to do it. It was that simple.
So my question is when you go to the gym, do you know what you're going to do that day?
A lot of the times nowadays, yes. Nowadays, I try to keep it very structured. But back then, it was just kind of like I was still learning the machines, and
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it was just kind of like, yeah, but like, having a plan now, yeah, that, and now I'm seeing even more results and more success in different ways, like muscle growth and endurance stuff like that, because there is a structured plan in place that is going to be progressive overload, adding little by little, following proper form, doing little things like that to just get further and further ahead. And taking the time to also, just kind of on a side note, taking the time to not just work every single muscle group at once, but to target specific ones and give them a good work and then let them rest and then work a different one. And just doing that, like, and recognizing what needs worked on and what needs to rest, has been very helpful as well.
Yeah. So my point is, and you've confirmed this, is when you made a plan, your growth happened much faster.
Insanely faster.
Yeah. So, and that's the same thing in life. It doesn't matter whether it's business. It doesn't matter whether it's whatever it is. Without a plan, you're totally just winging it. And hope is a really terrible business strategy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a terrible strategy for working out. It's a terrible strategy for anything. So
Anything.
A plan, whether it's your eating, whether it's your working out, whether it's your business, whether it's whatever you're doing, a plan is like vital, vital. So if there's any realtors or loan officers that are listening to this and you don't have a plan for this year, reach out to me because I can help you, and I'm not charging for that. This is just like a free thing because you need to have a plan. So just reach out to me and we'll get that plan going. So back over to you, Spencer.
Well, that's nice of you. You guys should take advantage of that. No, that's very nice of him to do that. Anyway, so yeah, that was it, was having a plan. And then along the way, so here's the thing, that plan was provided to me from my trainer, Mike. And at first he was like, just do this, just follow this plan day over day, whatever. And so I did exactly that. Every single gram of every single food that was on there for a long, long, long time. And then it got to a point where, because I was so interested in nutrition, because of these small things I was doing over time, it just piqued my curiosity. So I started learning a lot more about macronutrients and all those different things and stuff like that, and how you can substitute other foods for the same thing and stay in your calories and not go above your. It's funny that you talk about loans and things like that, because I actually view my calorie intake and my macros and stuff as a physical currency in my body. It's like I have a budget of 1,700 calories. We can just call it $1,700, and it's like I can either spend $800 or eat 800 calories up front, right up front, and then I got to keep that in mind throughout the rest of my day so I don't go over that calorie budget that I've given myself every single day. And putting it into terms like that for me was a big help too, because again, rationalizing, coping, and all those types of things are very helpful when you're doing something that can provoke stress. So I
don't think I've ever heard it put in those terms before. So that's That is really awesome. So we're going to take a real quick break because we want to talk more to Spencer. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, now we're back with Spencer, and yeah, it's so we've been talking about, if you're just joining us, we've been talking about his journey on losing weight, going from mid 300s down to he's just about to break the 200 range. But so we'll put another picture up here of Spencer so you can see the massive difference. And well, you can probably see him right here on the video if you're watching it. You can see him right here, and you can see the difference that it's made. So awesome. So let's continue with our conversation. You were just talking about some. What were we talking about? Where were you at with this?
So we were just talking about. I was just kind of going through the months here, and I had mentioned that through right after I got my meal plan, I kind of was learning about the calories and the macros and the proteins and fats and carbs and stuff, and I started translating all that into some sort of coping mechanism into currency in my body. So I thought about how you would spend money and how you would save money and things like that, and it kind of worked and it was good. But then came the holidays, and when you're going through a weight loss journey and you're kind of in the throes of it, and it's that Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, that quick 12 weeks of time that go by, it can be very tempting to not follow your meal plan.
Oh, totally. It's just I hear so many people, they have cheat days so I'm curious. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but do you have cheat days? Do you have cheat meals? Do you have?
Oh yeah. So so one thing for me is I found that having a cheat, you'll hear a lot of divided people say, oh, you shouldn't have cheat days or even I should say cheat meals, not cheat days. You shouldn't have a cheat meal. That means your diet's too rigorous. It's not sustainable. It's not good. And it's hey, some people like eating healthy. Some people like eating lots of, chicken in salads. And me, I like eating lots of Greek yogurt, low fat Greek yogurt. I like my Quest bars. Shout out to Quest. I
don't even know what that is, but
Quest Nutrition, man. They came through for me clutch. Anyway, so basically they, just finding stuff that I liked that could still meet the same calories and still meet the same macronutrients are nice, but every now and again it's hey, I also like to have donuts. I love pizza. I think pizza is probably my every cheat meal. I'll have a slice of pizza or several. But yes, to answer the question, I'm a firm believer in cheat meals. And I think if you work hard enough and long enough, and it's something that you can control, I think that having a day every good while isn't gonna kill you, isn't gonna totally thwart your progression entirely. I think that it's definitely a good mind. It's more than just the physical. It's a lot of emotional. It's a lot of mental. It's a psychological thing because, like I said earlier, we're emotional people, and a lot of us have when we are feeling emotional, we like to eat, whether it's happy or sad or whatever. So I know for me, when I get stressed, I like to snack. So
me too. I do too. So going to your point of being when we're stressed or whatever, we like to eat. What do you do when you're going out? When you have friends that want to get together, you always want to go out to eat, right?
Oh,
I mean, it's not just eating because you're hungry. It's for our culture and many cultures, it's you're breaking bread with friends. That's something we do to bond with each other. And so, how do you cope with going out to some of these restaurants and your friends are probably ordering stuff that you used to order?
Oh,
and so how do you cope with that kind of stuff?
So I'm pretty sure a lot of us are going to be able to relate to that, because I don't know. I know I'm not the only person who's been on a quote unquote like diet or calorie deficit or life change, and you find yourself at a familiar restaurant looking at the menu that you used to just totally annihilate when you like, you just know everything is so good, and you see your family, maybe it's some friends, and they're all ordering, appetizers and stuff. I mean, honestly, you got to be prepared. I mean, I'm just going to keep it super real here. It is kind of a lonely road sometimes. It really is, because you have to realize that you are on your own journey, and that journey doesn't change just because, you're in a certain situation. Like you have to plan ahead. And that's something that I learned from David Goggins, was visualizing not just your success, but visualizing what's going to stop you from reaching that and tackling it before it even comes. Now, there's going to be things that you're not going to be prepared for that are going to pop up, because that's what life is. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's no way around that. But if you can at least think about, okay, I know at some point I'm probably going to go out with some friends. And if it's not a day or the time of the week that I'm going to have a cheat meal, or maybe I have kind of slipped up and I'm kind of going back on the cut a little bit harder this week, whatever it is, whatever your mindset is, and you're there. I mean, hey, be prepared. I bring protein bars. I do. I'll bring a protein bar. I'll get some water. And if anything, I'll order a salad. If it's like, because for me, I like to schedule my cheat meals around my days off from work, just so I can have a day to relax. Like, we all know Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the famous wrestler.
Well, who doesn't, right?
Right. He has every Sunday he does an epic cheat meal where he just makes like the most deliciously disgusting calorie-ridden meals you could ever think of. But every other meal and every other day of the week, he's very regimented, right? So I like to kind of adopt that a little bit too, in my own life, and I'm not trying to copycat. But so that's what I do, is I'll plan a day, and if it's not that day and I'm out somewhere, it hurts sometimes, it's like I want to order more, but I can't. Not like I can't, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's the difference. There's the difference, man. It's just like you have to prepare yourself mentally. So this isn't just because you're hungry. It's just like, this is a mental thing, and you have to prepare yourself so that when you are up against that. And another thing you said is you're not trying to be a copycat. Yeah. But man, be a copycat. It's like, find those people in whoever your mentors are, or whoever your idols are, or whoever those people are that you want to be like, whether it's in business or whether it's in losing weight or whatever your journey is. Find those people and don't reinvent the wheel. Just do what they do.
Oh, yeah. And that's actually a good point, because there is another person, and I know you said you wanted to kind of circle back to mentors, and this is kind of where this is where it's going to connect into that is, so I had that book by David Goggins, which I listened to, which was just his life story. It was about hearing him run with broken legs, hear him doing a Navy SEALs Hell Week 3 times in 1 year. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so crazy to hear that somebody physically did that, and just hearing their headspace through that. So that was a very good example for me to live by. And I did adopt his ethos of like working hard and doing it. And I'm not him, and I'm not anywhere near what he does. And he's the hardest man alive for a reason. But if I can at least be a micro % of what he is in my own way, then that's good for me. But the other thing is I started looking for other people and other avenues and other mentors of sorts. Like, I had Mike to help me out in the gym, and if I need anything, I could text him, right? And he was always there for me, which is awesome. I had David Goggins' book, which I would listen to help me stay disciplined and stay focused. And then I found a new YouTuber, and his name is Will Tennyson, and he is probably the biggest impact on my life up to this point in health and fitness that I've ever had. Like, he was a big boy, not like me, but he was a big boy. He dropped 100 pounds, and he ended up putting up a ton of muscle, and he's very, his physique is very shredded. Just think of like your typical bodybuilder kind of guy, is very, very defined. And his content is so wholesome though, like in a way, because he shows recipes on how to make stuff, and he's relatable. He talks about, hey, I get it. Like, I'm a human too. And he even has, like, think about it. He's a big shredded guy. And he has videos of him eating donuts with his little dog, talking about like, I'm just enjoying a moment. And then he would be like, no, let me show you how to, like, some cool tips on working out. And it wasn't like a flex. It wasn't like I'm better than you. It was like hey, this is something I did and this is something I do. If you want to adopt the method to try it out, you should, because you might like it. But if not, don't worry, do your own thing. But it's here if you want it. And I loved it. And he's this guy from Canada. He's so, so funny. And he has taught me so much about nutrition and about how to, make really yummy recipes. Like, I'm making pancakes and brownies and ice cream, and it's all healthy, no sugar, low fat, high protein stuff. And it's all stuff that tastes good. So now when people say, what do you eat, Spence? I say, I have parfaits, chocolate parfaits. I have brownies on the weekend. And all this is like healthy stuff. Like there's no sugar or fat in it. And it's all like things that you can just replacements. And again, a year ago or even last summer, if I would have saw that video and saw those recipes, I wouldn't have wanted to try it.
Yeah, totally.
I was like, I want a Kit Kat. I don't want I want a Snickers bar. I do not want a sugar-free anabolic brownie. Like, that sounds disgusting. And I hated Greek yogurt before. I hated it. But now it might as well be my blood.
Yeah,
like I eat too much of it. But anyway, he was a big inspiration to me and a very big mentor. And I just look forward to his videos twice a week. And every week he's just showing something new. And I adopt some of the tips he does. Like you were saying, like, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel in my workouts. And that's where I've got a lot of my structure from, was seeing how he structured his workouts and his diet. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Maybe if I do something like that, I can see success. And here we are.
So mentors. So we've circled back around to mentors. So it sounds like mentors have been instrumental in what you've done.
Oh yeah. And people want to tell you that you can't, that's like a privilege, which it is, being able to have a trainer and go to a gym, especially in our, in the last calendar year, is definitely, not the norm for everyone. But I mean, anybody who has access to a free Wi-Fi signal can get on YouTube, you know what I mean? Like, and who has a connected device, which most adults in 2021 do have some sort of connected device, and with the internet on it, whether at home or mobilely.
Or kids.
Kids
have it. It's just like
legitimately, like, it's everywhere. So, yeah. I mean, and that was what I did, and I'm not paying, like, this Will Tennyson YouTuber guy, like, that's just it. He's a YouTuber. He just makes his own content. And I found him amongst so many other people that, like, there's so many other people who I didn't like, but I like him. You know what I mean? You don't have to like what I like, and you don't have to like what your friend likes. But for example, like me and Cody, just to bring him back into the equation, he's not as much into Will Tennyson as I am. He likes a few other people, and I don't like some of those people as much as I like my friend Will Tennyson. You know what I mean? But that's right. Okay, because he gets what he wants out of the mentors that he's looked to, and I get what I need out of the mentors that I've looked to. And I'll just be real. There is one last person named on YouTube that I've also kind of learned. If you're really struggling with not wanting to eat junk, sometimes watching other people do it is soothing. I know it sounds kind of weird, but like, I've seen this guy named Eric the Electric, and he does these food challenges where he just eats like a disgusting amount of food in a short amount of time. And it's just, at first it's like, oh my gosh, that looks so good, I want to eat all of it. And then watching him eat it, I'm like, you know what? I'm good now. like, I don't know. Just kind of a funny off topic thing, but yeah. Anyway, so back to the point with mentors is, it's definitely super important to have people in your life that you can look to. And Cody's been a mentor to me too. Like, and I to him, like, we've been mentors to each other to try and teach each other things that we learn. And that's something I think is really important, is being able to be vulnerable with somebody about what you're going through. Yeah.
I think that's actually more of called an accountability partner.
Yeah, a little bit. Cody was my accountability partner. Like, I can't tell you how many times, Ron, I would have a moment of weakness and he would just give me these eyes. I always tell him, I'm like, dude, you give me the eyes, man. It's like you're staring into my soul. And he doesn't say a word. He just looks at me and like tilts one eyebrow up a little bit. And I just know that he knows that I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's
totally.
Just like, and then at that point, I'm like, all right. And just to quote Lord of the Rings, I know that's kind of out there, but Frodo couldn't have gotten far without Sam.
Yeah.
Right. And,
Right.
and Cody has definitely been the Samwise to my Frodo, if you will, along this journey. Like, carried me up when I was low, and I've helped him up when he was low. And I think that, and even if you don't have someone in your life like that, you know, like a close friend or a roommate or a, you know, a significant other event of some kind or a family member, just whatever, like holding yourself accountable can be hard, but it's doable. You know, it just takes actual honesty, and it is hard, but it
That's
does
profound,
exist.
man. That,
You know?
that's a profound statement. That's like really profound. I love that. It's
you.
accountability is hard, but it's doable. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, because I mean, nobody wants to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I didn't do what I was supposed to do today. I know I wanted to, and I really tried to justify why I didn't, but I didn't do it. You know, and that you don't have to sit there and stay in the dumps. You just have to acknowledge it, be real with yourself, and say, you know what, okay, I messed up. I'm going to do better, and then give it another try, because failure is a part of the process. You are going to fail your way to success.
Yes, I love that too, man. I love this podcast, man. So failure is not a bad thing.
No.
Failure, if you look at anybody that is successful like yourself, there is, you have fallen more times but it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up.
Oh yeah. And like, I can't remember, I think it's Rocky. And I think is like Sylvester Stallone says, it's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and stay in the fight. Right.
Yep.
Because there will, and I'm going to say this with as much confidence as I can, there will be times where you will fail.
Yep.
And you will not meet your goal. You're not going to find the success that you're looking for. And those are the true moments that test where you're at. It's like, for example, I'll be real. I was in April, starting today, I wanted to be under 200 pounds. That was my absolute goal. I said, I want to be 198 by April 1st, 2021. And I didn't get there. I was 202 pounds this morning. And you know what? Instead of just crying about it all day and just beating myself up, I sat back and I said, okay, so why are we not here? Well, let's analyze what's going on. Let's take a step back and analyze the last 3 to 4 weeks, if we can, see if there's been any changes in the diet, in our workouts. And I noticed, oh my goodness, well, I've been in a calorie deficit for so long that maybe, you know, the weight loss is slowing down just naturally. So maybe I have to look into other avenues. And instead of just being so upset and hung up about the number on the scale, it now made me realize that, oh, maybe it's the fact that I'm going too hard on one thing. Maybe I need to switch it up and try something else to see if that's going to work. And I mean, at this point, the number on the scale doesn't really matter. You know, it really, like, I mean, it's a good thing to look at, you know, but like, it is what it is. And some days it'll be higher, some days it'll be lower. But I mean, ultimately, if you're moving, the one thing I always think of is it doesn't matter where you are. You can be in first place, you can be in last place, as long as you are facing the target goal. Like, think about it. You can have the dude who's in first place, but turns around and starts running the wrong way. And now he's not going to be in first place in just a minute. But you, who is dead last, who is facing the direction of the goal, will have a better chance at that moment of reaching the goal than that guy who just turned his back.
Right. Yep.
So that's just where I look at it.
Just drop the mic now, would you?
Well, I mean, these are things that like I had to, it just comes down to that accountability thing. It's like just being like, this is the lesson that I'm taking away from this. And I'm not perfect. There's some days where, yeah, a failure does hurt. Like maybe I'm at work and I don't hit my sales goal. And now because of that, my boss is on me. And because now my boss is on me, I'm on my agents. And now my agents are getting back to me. And now I'm in a bad mood. So when I go to the gym, I'm just irritable and I'm not going to work out as hard. And when I get home, it can spiral into it. But if you can take just I'll take it back. If you can take 10 seconds, take a breath and let your mind get out of disarray for a second and let your heart rate slow down, just one beat, you'll gain a moment of clarity and you'll go, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. Like I got it. But you know, and it comes with practice. You know what I mean? Like what you see and what you hear right now was not just the byproduct of a weekend or a pill that I bought or, you know, just a fad diet or just a one counseling session. This is like a bunch of days that I strung into weeks, that I strung into months, which I'm now stringing into a year, which I will hopefully string into more years, which will weave into the rest of my life.
Yep. You're creating a lifestyle. You're not doing a fad diet. This is like a lifestyle for you. And that creates a life worth living.
Yeah, it's all about long-term change.
And don't get me wrong, because when I say a life worth living, just because you're heavier doesn't mean your life's not worth living. Don't get me wrong there. But,
yeah, no, I feel what you're saying.
Okay, all right.
But more so of like, well, let me just be honest with you. Like I said, the number on the scale doesn't truly define who you are. Like you said, Ron, you were like, hey man, I thought you were under 200 pounds, but like, you know, I feel good. Like I can jog now. I can get up. I can do yoga. I can stretch, and I can pick up my little nieces that I love so much. And that's another thing. You want to talk about what really pushed me is my sister Simone has this kid named Persephone, cutest little girl I have ever seen in my life. And I thought, I want to be part of her life forever. Like I want to be Uncle Spencer. I want her to know me, and I want her to love me, and I want to be part of her. And I just want to be there for when she graduates high school and when she goes to college. And it's like, I know she's not even my kid, you know, she's not even, but like, I love her so much. And like Steven, my brother, he has some kids and I love them too. And I just thought to myself, man, how sad would it be if they were like, man, I really wish Uncle Spence was around more, you know what I mean? Or like just whatever it is. And it kind of got sad. And I was like, I want to be there. So when I remember when I was first working out, whenever I felt like, I'm tired, I want to stop, I thought about them. Their little faces popped into my head, and I thought, you know, they're worth fighting for. And that was just something for me, just personally. And I don't think I've ever told them that, but yeah, they were definitely a big part of that. So, and it's a big personal experience, you know, like,
yeah,
you got to find what works for you. Cause if you just try to like, it takes some soul searching. It takes some accountability sessions. It takes some time to find the process that works.
Yeah. So for those that are listening, find your mentors. And I hadn't thought about having mentors on YouTube, quite honestly. So find those mentors, whether they're on YouTube, whether they're at the gym, whether they're family members. Find those accountability partners, because those people are gold in your life. So what would you say to people that want to take that same journey but are just struggling? What are words of wisdom? What words of counsel? What words of advice that you might have for them?
I have two types of answers, and I'll give the short and quick one first, and then I'll give the more in-depth one. The first answer is just do it. Just do it. Just try it. Jump in the water. Do it. See what happens. Just try it one, and that's not saying jump into the deepest, darkest water out there. That's right. Just getting your hiney in the water in the first place. Like
just get into the kiddie pool, right?
Yep. There's never going to be a good time. Never. You can say, I just got to wait till there's a good time. You're never going to find it. You will never find it.
100%.
Because I will tell you what, the more times that I just did it, I was like, okay, I did it, and that spiraled into other things. But then the second answer here is, really think about what it is you want. Do you like, if we're talking about health and fitness here, you got to really, before you even decide to buy the gym membership, before you even decide to throw away your tub of gluttony under your bed and, you know, bring in the protein bars and the chicken and rice, think about what you want and why you want it. And don't be afraid to break out the journal and to just write it down. And that's actually my biggest bit of counsel, is writing stuff down. If you can write down just whether, and don't do it on your phone. I mean, if you have to do it on your phone, like that's fine, or on a computer or something, that's cool, but try actually handwriting it down, because that's going to force your mind to really think what you're writing or what you're, putting on the paper, and keep it somewhere you can see. So for me, when I first started, I wrote down, I want to see my nieces grow. I want to live longer. I want to hike with my friends this summer. So 2021, I wrote down real things, just what I want. What do you want? This is just what Spencer wanted at the time. And I kept it up right by my computer and I looked at it every single day. And I just reminded myself, this is what I want. This is why I'm doing it. Because that question, that one word question that buries itself deep inside of our brain, why? Why am I waking up at 4:30 in the morning and waiting in the cold for the gym to open at 5 so I can rush home by 6, quickly shower, get to work by 7, and just have this crazy morning where I could just sleep in till 6 and not even worry about it and do it later? For you have to be able to answer that question, because it will pop up and it sucks. Because if you don't know why you're doing something, then you will crumble at the first moment of pressure. The first time things get super real, you're going to be like, why am I doing this? This doesn't make sense. I don't need to do this anymore. And then you fold, and then everything you just worked for just kind of falls by the wayside. And maybe it's not that quick of a process. That the question does come up a bit, but write it down. Write your whys down and visualize it, and also visualize your insecurities and what's going to hold you back. And do not be afraid to grab them. Like, metaphorically speaking, don't be afraid to grab them in your mind and say, listen, I'm coming for you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day you will be mine.
Spencer, you are wise beyond your years, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
This has been awesome. So, I didn't ask you before the podcast if you don't want people calling you, that's okay. So
no,
if somebody wants to just reach out and say, Spencer, man, you inspired me, and they just have some questions, what's the best way to do that? Phone, email, text? What's the best way for the people to reach out to you?
That is a wonderful question. I have a Facebook account like any other person. It's just I kind of have a funny name. I'm probably going to change it because I'm doing a lot more professional stuff now. It was kind of a funny high school name, but for now it's Spencer the Wizard O'Sullivan. You should be able to find it on Facebook. But also I have a YouTube channel where I post. I've been doing about once a month. I started out as like video diaries with the weight loss. So if you kind of want to see a more in-depth, like real time, like where I was actually at during the process, I kind of documented some of that time.
Yeah, totally go look at that, because that's impressive. So go look at that.
So there was some old footage, some archive footage I have there, but nowadays it's going to be a lot more like fitness challenges and keeping up and giving advice, kind of like what we're doing here. So that's just Spencer K. Sullivan on YouTube. I mean, it's not anything like super extraordinary. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out on social media. Like I said, just Spencer the Wizard O'Sullivan on Facebook, or, what? I'm probably gonna make some sort of fitness Instagram title, maybe. I don't know. We'll have something eventually. But you know what? Honestly, like,
so you could probably get on social media and put in Spencer Sullivan, and just if you find him and see Spencer Wizard,
you're in the right place.
Yeah, you're in the right place. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Thanks so much, Spencer. I've really enjoyed having you here. It's been good to catch up again, because it's been a little while since I've seen you.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for having me. It's been a great pleasure.
Yeah, awesome. And if there's anything that my team or I can do to help you in your business, real estate loan officers, if there's if you just have questions, feel free to reach out to me. My phone number is 801-628-7667, and feel free to also go on to YouTube or Apple Podcasts or Stitcher and leave us a 5-star review. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks, and that will bring to close another episode of Agent versus Lender.
You've been listening to Agent versus Lender. We put it all out on the table, as you can clearly tell, but that's what makes us unique. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit us up on Facebook at Pippin Team or Ron Pippin, on Instagram at RonPippin9002. If you have questions or comments, email Ron at thepippinteam.com. This is Agent versus Lender, signing off.